opening day like? You went through 17 of these as a longtime pro in this league.
Kevin, there's just something different about it. I don't care if you're a rookie playing for the very first time or you're a 15-year veteran like Frank Gore. You've got some butterflies. And a lot of these players haven't played a lot of football in the preseason, and today they may have to play 70 snaps on either side of the football.
You were watching Chicago Green Bay on Thursday night from Soldier Field, and in that game it was pretty evident things are a little rusty on both sides of the ball.
Well, the Bears didn't really play their starters in the preseason, and I think it certainly affected them early. The timing and the rhythm simply wasn't there. What concerns me about this game is the offensive line play. You know, you look at the Bills, they've got 4 new starters on that offensive line. The Jets have a couple new starters. This group, they haven't played a lot together, and that could affect these second-year quarterbacks.
We have had the flip of the coin. The Jets won the toss. They've elected to take the second half kickoff. The Bills will receive. The kicking situation here in New York has been an interesting one, and they're on their 3rd kicker, and this is Corey Vedvik, who's from Norway, who was let go by the Vikings and signed by the Jets over the weekend. And he is kicking in this stadium for the first time today. He had no time on this field in this stadium kicking until pregame warmups.
Kevin, he missed a number of kicks. Most of his kicks were misses left. They moved on from Jason Myers. They had Catanzaro, Bertolet in the preseason. They missed a bunch of extra points. Vedvik missed 3 field goals in Minnesota. That's why he's no longer a member of the Vikings.
Here we go. The Jets, the Bills on CBS, and deep back Isaiah McKenzie lets that one go right over his head and out of the end zone. It is a touchback to the 20-yard line. So this takes us to our sideline reporter, Amanda Balionis.
Thanks, Kevin. It's been 602 days since Le'Veon Bell has taken a snap in the NFL, and he told us that time off was some of the hardest times in his life. But there are positives to take from that, the biggest of which is his renewed passion for this game and the way he's using that to motivate this Jets offense. He was jumping out of his skin in practice on Friday. He told me he woke up at 4 o'clock this morning wondering if it was game time yet.
Amanda, thank you very much. Here go the Buffalo Bills with a 1st and 10 in the first play of the season. That's Singletary out of the backfield, the rookie, and he goes upfield, and that will be caught to the 33-yard line. It's grabbed by Beasley. It's a grab of 8, and they'll have 2nd down and 2 with a look at the quarterback who threw that one, Josh Allen.
Like most young quarterbacks, he needs to continue working on his decision-making and accuracy. Just 52% completion percentage last year. It's been a point of emphasis all offseason, just slowing him down and making sure he has a good solid base underneath him when he throws from the pocket.
Rookie Singletary still in there, 2nd down and 2. And that's caught for a 1st down and more. John Brown, the free agent who signs with this team, a deep threat with great speed, picks up 13, put him to the 46 of the Buffalo Bills. Rebuilt offensive line, 4 new starters, the most in the NFL. They have a rookie right tackle in Cody Ford, and there you see some of the people they're going to be working with. We've seen Brown, we've seen Beasley already.
I think Beasley and Brown can really help Josh Allen. Beasley comes over from the Cowboys. John Brown was with the Ravens. Brown has top-end speed, and Beasley's so good in the slot.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 27. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
That's Darryl Roberts.
I like the fact that the Bills are coming out, no huddle, up-tempo, trying to apply the pressure to this Jets defense.
Singletary is still in the backfield. It is now a 1st and 5 with that penalty in tow. A lot of exotic looks put up by that Jet defense with new coordinator Greg Williams. A big story here. Williams, the former Bills head coach. 1st and 5. Lasers one inside, and that's caught to the 40-yard line of the Jets. Gain of 9 on the play. Hit by the linebacker Neville Hewitt. As you take a look at the defense here on that line, which is the strength of that defense, featuring Leonard Williams, linebacker C.J. Mosley, the heart of the defense, Greg Williams says. And Tremaine Johnson is maybe the focal point. Adams the star, but Johnson needs to perform. And DeMarco out of the backfield, the fullback, with a gain of 4. Right off the bat, Allen is red hot throwing. He's down to the 36 of the Jets. It was a gain of 4 right there.
I think the big question for the Jets, can they generate enough pressure on the passer with a 4-man rush, or do they have to manufacture a rush by blitzing with 5, 6, and 7-man rushes?
Second down and 6, Allen. And that is caught by Beasley for a second time on this drive. And he's brought down there by Darryl Roberts. They work to the 26 of the Jets. And a gain of 10, another first down.
Well, this is what they love. They want to get Cole Beasley in the slot working on the corner. And that's a good matchup. Look at the patience and look at his ability to change directions. And that's why they're excited about Cole Beasley, who can really help in the slot.
5 in the secondary, first and 10. Opening drive of the season. Allen pressured and on the move and throws it away. He had all kinds of pressure on him. Williams was there, as was Henry Anderson, flushing Allen from that pocket. Second and 10.
And this is a positive sign if you're a Bills fan. The quarterback's willingness to throw the football away and move on to another down. And he's ultra competitive. He trusts his arm strength so much. He took a number of sacks a season ago by trying to hold on to the football a bit too long. I like how he's changing plays at the line of scrimmage. This shows real maturity for the second-year quarterback.
Singletary is the back. Poole is the 5th defensive back. It is second and 10. Here he goes. Ball is loose. Turnover on the play. The Jets look like they've got it. McClendon jumping on the ball, and a turnover early on for Buffalo. And a promising drive goes astray.
Just watch Jordan Jenkins. He's going to come off the left side of the screen. He's working against Deion Dawkins. He just beats him to the quarterback, and Allen's not able to tuck the ball away. A big turnover on the opening drive.
One of the weak parts, they say, of this defense, Rich, is the lack of an edge rusher. Jenkins went streaming through that side.
Well, he just worked on Deion Dawkins, the only returning starter from a season ago, and just beat him one-on-one.
Jets take over. After 38, first and 10. Wow. Bell in the backfield. Le'Veon Bell to the 44-yard line and brought down by Johnson. That is a gain of 5 for the Jets.
That didn't take too long now,
No,
did
it didn't. He wants to touch it a lot, Rich.
Well, I love what Adam Gase said. He said he could tell by the way he practiced on Wednesday and Thursday that he was ready to play on Sunday.
Now Bell is wide. Out of the backfield in motion, another speed merchant, Jamison Crowder. Second down and 5. Up the middle they come, dumps it off with an incomplete pass to Crowder. Boy, there was heavy pressure too, and it was coming up the middle. Ed Oliver was right there. There's a look at Sam Darnold. He said, Rich, he expects this offense to be electric.
Yeah, look, you know, he really played some good football in December last year after some struggles early in the season. He took better care of the football. He cleaned up some of the mistakes there. His completion percentage was better. Now the challenge for Darnold, unlike Allen, is that he has to learn a new system in year 2, obviously, with the hiring of Adam Gase.
They're down in 5. Fumble giving the Jets the ball here and stopping a promising drive for the Bills. Montgomery and Bell in the backfield. It's Bell on 3rd and 5. Good open field tackle out there by Edmonds. Spinning to the 44, picks up a yard shy of the first, and here comes the punting unit for the Jets. The Bills D does the job.
We talked about the Bills getting a bunch of helmets and hats to the football. The other thing is you got to limit the space between yourself, the defender, and the ball carrier, Le'Veon Bell, because that's where he's most effective and dangerous, is when he gets the ball in space.
4th-year player Lachlan Edwards will punt. He was number 9 in punting yardage a season ago in the National Football League, and deep back is Micah Hyde. This day basically here in the Meadowlands. I'm looking up into that bright New Jersey sun. Out of bounds inside the 15. Edwards does his job. The Bills fumbled but didn't pay. The Jets punt. 44-yarder right there. The head coach Sean McDermott and the GM Brandon Beane in their 3rd year together, and they finally feel like they got the kind of team they want after 3 years.
Well, it's all about creating a culture in terms of how they go about their business. He's looking for hard, tough-minded individuals who are all about the team, putting the team first, and that's what they feel they've got a really good young football team that's bought in.
4 in the secondary. Devin Singletary in the backfield. Bills have it after a Jets punt. 1st and 10. That's deflected and picked off Mosley. He'll take it in. It's a pick 6 and a touchdown.
I put this on the quarterbacks. Good protection. This ball's low and away, a hard one to handle for Cole Beasley. Should he catch it? Certainly, but if you're not accurate and you hit him on the left hip, the left thigh board, this is what could happen. This ball falls right into the outstretched arms of C.J. Mosley. He can't believe it, and he's able to walk in with the touchdown.
Interception right there thrown on the ricochet by Allen. Mosley picks off his 10th career interception. They paid him all the money in the world. He's the #1 paid inside linebacker, the 4th highest paid linebacker overall, and Vedvik putting up the extra point, and he hits the upright.
And Kevin, we watched Vedvik warm up going this direction, and most of his misses were left. The same thing happened with him in Minnesota, and we watched this warm up in the pregame, and he was struggling. You just watch, he's hooking the ball left. And special teams coordinator Brant Boyer was there. He was talking to him. They were talking. There wasn't a lot of wind, and you can see obviously Boyer and head coach Adam Gase discussing the kicking situation.
Wanted to come over earlier in the week, and there was a soccer match here that put down a different surface. He couldn't get in. So today, and there's no wind, but minimal wind, 5 miles an hour. But that is, and look at the litany of people they've had come through here.
You know, the nerves, I think, are a factor with the young kicker. And Kevin, he struggled in Minnesota. To me, his eyes weren't right. You'd watch him after a missed kick on the sidelines. It just didn't look right. And this is a concern, obviously, from the Jets, who decided not to pay Jason Myers and let him walk in free agency. He's now with the Seattle Seahawks.
They signed a $15 million contract, a big one. Here comes Vedvik. He misses the extra point. Back there to retrieve it. McKenzie again. Over his head, touchback to the 25-yard line. The SEC on CBS returns this Saturday with the 2nd-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Getting the road to face the South Carolina Gamecocks in Columbia. It's the best game from the best conference. All your college football coverage. We'll start with the drive to Atlanta at 2:30 Eastern, followed by College Football Today at 3 o'clock. Saturday, right here on CBS. Mosley the pick 6, and the Jets on top.
That's why you spend the money. They consider Mosley one of the NFL's best leaders, and they believe he has the ability to transform a young locker room here in New York.
8th play. Bills have gone to the air every play. 1st and 10 here. That's caught by DeMarco, the fullback. Right in front of Adams. He picks up 5. He's out just beyond the 30-yard line of Buffalo.
Clearly the plan early on is to spread out this Jets defense. Go up tempo, make it difficult for C.J. Mosley in his first year in Greg Williams' system. You can already see the challenges the Jets are going to have with communication.
Emphasis this week for the Bills in practice. Early downs. They don't want to get in the 3rd and long against this defense. And against this coordinator, Greg Williams. 2nd and 5. Running again, needs the 35 for the first. Beautiful open field tackle by the Pro Bowler Jamal Adams, limiting him to a gain of 3 as he gets out just beyond the Buffalo 32.
Well, Josh Allen's first instinct, if it's not there, is to pull the ball down and run. It's a very natural thing for him to do. Big reason why he had 631 rushing yards a season ago.
3rd and 2, 5 in the secondary for the Jets. Josh Allen slings that one. A flag is thrown. Great catch made by John Brown. He's out to the 42-yard line, working on May. Gain of 10. Let's see what that flag is about. To the 43 of the Bills.
Really good protection and allowed Josh Allen to sit in there and work through his progressions, and a terrific catch by John Brown.
Brown had a 13-yarder on the first drive of the game, which resulted in a fumble by the Bills and the quarterback.
Prior to the pass, personal foul, face mask, defense, number 22. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. It's an automatic first down.
That's on Tremaine Johnson.
He's right here. He's actually on the inside. He's working right on the inside. He's grabbing Cole Beasley the whole way. That frees up John Brown behind him. But Tremaine Johnson, we talked about him in the open, Kevin. Struggled a season ago after getting that big contract. He didn't play a lot in the preseason, dealing with a hamstring injury. They've got to test him early.
Well, he's missed the past month. He didn't start practicing until this week in earnest. Another good drive, 42-yard line, Buffalo, 1st and 10. And that'll be hauled in by Beasley near the 36. Hit by a couple, gain of 7. Give it to Hewitt with the grab on Beasley, the former Dallas Cowboys slot receiver.
And you can already see the comfort level that exists between Josh Allen and Cole Beasley. Very good in the slot. We talked with Josh Allen about him last night. He's got great short area quickness. He sees the game through the eyes of the quarterback, and he does a nice job making it easy for Allen to read his body language.
2nd and 3, going deep, and they're working on Roberts, and it's incomplete to Zay Jones. 3rd and 3. Look at the receiver picture for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, they needed more production and consistency from the wide receiver position. Buffalo had the 2nd fewest catches in the league by wide receivers, 5th fewest yards at the position. It's a big reason why they added the speedster John Brown and the short-handed Cole Beasley. They were dead last in yards after catch. These are areas where the Bills have to be better on the perimeter.
Jets 5 in the secondary, 3rd and 3. Bills have turned it over the first 2 times they've had the ball. Allen needs the 32, and helmet first. He's got it inside the 32 of the Jets on a gain and 4 on that play on 3rd and 3.
It was interesting in talking to C.J. Mosley last night about Josh Allen. He said he's more aggressive running the football on 3rd down and in the red zone. He's not looking to run out of bounds or slide. He's a big quarterback at 6'5", 240 pounds. They compared him to Ben Roethlisberger when you look at his body type. Certainly a better runner at this point in his career.
Rich, mentally for a quarterback early in a season, early in a game to throw a pick six, you got to
be able to quickly turn the page. And I like what I'm seeing so far, Kevin, from Josh Allen.
Offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Right guard John Feliciano, who played with the Oakland Raiders, upcoming in the 7th play of the drive.
Allen's been aggressive. He's 8 of 11. He's taken a couple shots down the field. He's run for a couple big plays, a first down, and so he looks to me very comfortable in the pocket.
4 in the secondary, 1st and 15. Another laser, this time incomplete. Beasley in his sights at about the 28-yard line. A swarm of Jets around him. 2nd down and 15. Allen's got a big-time arm, doesn't he, Rich?
Well, if there are any fantasy football owners out there that haven't finalized the roster, go ahead and take number 10, Cole Beasley. I'm just telling you, he's going to catch a ton of balls for the Bills this year. You can already see that Josh Allen really trusts Beasley in the slot.
And the Cowboys in receiving back in 2016. 2nd and 15 here for Josh Allen. Buying time by Williams. Banged in the secondary there by Roberts. Gain of 4 with no one open to the 33-yard line of New York.
Well, the Jets talked all week about making sure you keep Josh Allen in the pocket where he belongs. And don't allow him to get outside the pocket. Be disciplined with your rush lanes. This is a pretty nice job by the Jets. And you can see you have to have eyes on the quarterback because Allen can really hurt you when he pulls the ball down and runs.
Jets in the nickel, 3rd and 11. They need the 22. He gets away from Adams. He scrambles ahead inside the 26. Flag thrown late, shy of the first down. Run of 7 right there. Clay Martin in his 2nd season as an NFL referee. With this crew as they talk it over. Pick 6 by Mosley. Missed extra points. 6-0 Jets.
after the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 76, taunting. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed from the dead ball spot, and it's 4th down.
That's 2 on
That is number
Feliciano.
76's first unsportsmanlike conduct towards a possible disqualification.
Well, here's the key. You've got to be able to track Jamal Adams. He's down in the box for a reason. He's a timely blitzer. And we said in the open, you've got to keep an eye on 57 and 33 every snap. Of course, you just watch at the end of the play. Feliciano's going to come in here late as he sees Mosley give him the business.
Are you doing your best Red Cashin?
Yeah. How about Red Cashin?
Yeah. Well, that knocks him out of field goal range, and Feliciano, who is flagged twice on that series, will head to the sideline. Corey Bojorquez, inconsistent in the preseason, will be punting to Braxton Berrios, who was let go by the New England Patriots, a former 6th-round pick by New England. Perfect conditions for football here this afternoon. And it'll be caught and fair caught at about the 5-yard line and grabbed right there by Siran Neal. 35-yard punt, well placed by the Bills, who trail 6-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. AARP. Real possibilities. And by McCafe Premium Roast Coffee. Good is brewing.
Five quarterbacks taken in the first round of last year's draft. 2 of them are right here. With a 1st and 10, Bell. And he was grabbed on the play after a gain of 3 by Matt Milano. The gain out to about the 8 after the Bills just punted.
Holding. Offense, number 67. Penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal. Replay, first down.
Starting right guard Brian Winters, who's been battling a shoulder injury since camp. And a look at our 2 quarterbacks so far this afternoon.
Well, the Bills have had the ball most of the first quarter. You look at those numbers for Josh Allen, and of course Sam Darnold. He just needs some opportunities, Kevin. It's a tough flow to the game to kind of get started. Just 6 offensive plays.
Quincy Enunwa, the receiver for the Jets, is on a knee and being looked at by the athletic training staff of the Jets.
I really like Enunwa. He's got that rare combination of size and speed, make him very difficult to cover. Coaching staff last year here in New York told us that he's looks like a running back in a tight end's body that plays wide receiver. I've never heard that description before, but he's all that. He's 6'2", he's 225 pounds. He's very physical, and where he's probably the best is with the ball in his hands. Yards after catch, the run after catch ability is very impressive with Enunwa.
4 in the secondary. It's 1st and 12 for the Jets.
180.
Penalty in tow after 2. Bell hit by a couple, including Poyer. Nice defense right there. Losing a yard. Let's go back to our CBS studios. And here is James Brown.
The Nick Foles era is underway.
Offseason acquisition paying off here. Take a look at this throw. It's a rainbow down the right sideline. 35 yards to DJ Chark. He's a second-year player out of LSU. It's his first career touchdown for the Jaguars. Chiefs lead the Jags 10-7.
Back to your guy, Kevin Harlan.
That's my guy. You're right.
I miss Boomer. I miss him a lot. 2nd and 12 here now with that loss. Darnold. Bell, all the hesitation, bangs his way as he breaks tackles, and he's brought down by Edmonds, and a hard-earned 12 yards right there, Rich, out near the 13 of New York.
Well, he hasn't been hit a lot, so my concern coming into today's game was the ball security. Le'Veon Bell's not a fumbler. He's put the ball on the ground just 8 times in his career, and yet he didn't have a single carry in the preseason, so that was a concern. But you can see he's got 2 hands on the football there as the Bills try and knock it out.
Bills have 5 in their secondary. Bell on 3 carries, averaging 5 yards. 3rd and 2. Darnold. Bell with the tackle made by Edmonds and a gain of 4, and that is a New York first down to the 17.
All you got to do is throw it to Le'Veon Bell. He almost always makes the first defender miss. And we were talking with him on Friday. I said, what's a realistic number for catches for you this season? He said 100. You think about that, there's only 2 other backs in the history of football that have had 100 catches in a season.
First and 10, Darnold. Nice catch right here with a great throw. Grabbed by Bellamy, the former Chicago Bear. It's a gain of 15 by number 15 out to the 32 of the Jets in a first down.
John Brown is a very good route runner. He's so quick off the line of scrimmage. They call him Smoke. He's got top end speed, and certainly cornerbacks respect his deep threat ability at the line of scrimmage.
Bellamy joined this team in the offseason. 15-yard pickup right there. First and 10, they've got Crowder in motion. Bell, he says he wants to carry it a lot and catch it a lot, and Poyer from the safety brings him down. It's a gain of nothing. In fact, they lose a couple on the play. Bell says, don't hold back. In the first game in 20 months, once 25 touches a game, that's what he averaged in Pittsburgh.
Kevin, I'd feed him until he regurgitates. I don't mean to be so blunt.
No, I know, but
I'm just telling you, if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm going to get this guy as many touches in space as I possibly can. He's that type of player. And he's well rested.
Yes,
I mean, he didn't play in the
Block in the back. Offense, number 15. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Down to Amanda.
Quincy Enunwa was in the blue pop-up tent being looked at very briefly, though he came right back out. He's expected to get back on the field.
Right, Amanda, thank you. And so the ball with the penalty now back to the 22 of New York on their second possession.
Good look at Adam Gase. Uniquely wired, extremely intense and passionate about this game. Team's first offensive-minded head coach since Rich Kotite back in 1995.
5 in the secondary, first and 20. Bell. Oh, what a nice block on that play. It was given by Griffin. And the gain is out past the 30 and a gain of 9 for Bell.
Well, when you talk about Le'Veon Bell, you talk about the patience. You just watch him allow that offensive line, the tight end to get out in front of it, and then he's off. And this is just what you want with Le'Veon Bell. He just needs to get lathered up. He needs to shake off some of that rust. As we mentioned, it's been over 600 days since Le'Veon Bell's played an NFL game.
The other tight end, Chris Herndon, is out for 4 games with the league suspension, so they've got Griffin, the former Texan, second down and 11. Nice misdirection here. Ty Montgomery, the former Packer and Raven, losing the ball, and out of bounds it goes, incomplete.
They really like Ty Montgomery, and you'll see Montgomery in the backfield with Bell some. They move him around. 2 pass receiving running backs. Of course, Montgomery was a former wide receiver. Should be a good personnel group for the Jets this season.
Adam Gase calls the plays. Dowell Loggins is the offensive coordinator, and they combine 3rd and 11. Gase has worked with some pretty good quarterbacks, too, including Peyton Manning.
Yeah, these are the situations you want to avoid against this Buffalo defense. This is where Sean McDermott gets creative.
3rd and 15. They have changed the spot. Here goes Darnold. Grabbed. Hughes looks like he's got him, getting some help from Milano, and they call it a sack, and the loss is back to the 23. The first sack by the Buffalo Bills, and they will send that Jets punting unit to the field.
You see all these bodies up here, but 2 of them are going to drop. It's just a 4-man rush. You see a little TE game on the right side of that offensive line. Winters gets his helmet knocked off.
What's TE?
Well, the tackle and the end will rotate. One will go first, a little stunt. And it's a really good job there by changing things up for that Jets offensive line.
Lachlan Edwards and Micah Hyde. He'll get it back to the 23. Hang time at just under 5 seconds. And here he goes, and brought down the play by special teamer Montez Miles. 11-yard return, 54-yard punt, 6-0 Jets. That's a lot of passing to begin a game for Buffalo.
Yeah, kind of unusual. We talk about balance, and yet no touches for the running backs. And, of course, we visited with Frank Gore last night. I'm sure this is not how he was anticipating starting the game, not getting a single carry through most of the first quarter.
Tight end Smith in motion. Fake to Gore. Slipping is Allen. Downfield it goes. It's picked up for a second time. This is Marcus May. You see the flag, and here comes Marcus May. Tackled by Brown. 25-yard return, and let's see what this flag is about. And the Bills seem to think it's on the Jets. And the Jets think it's on the Jets.
A really nice job by May jumping in front of the intended receiver, John Brown. He was in great position.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 27. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So Darrell Roberts draws the flag there. Earlier it was Tremaine Johnson drawing a flag.
Boy, the Bills get a break. It's actually Roberts who's away from the play, and he's at the top of the screen. You see him right there grabbing the tight end, Dawson Knox. He was covering a different receiver altogether.
Rounds up to the 38. Bills fumbled the first time, pick 6 the second possession, punted the last time they've had it. First and 10, Gore trying to burrow his way in. Nothing is there. They plugged the middle, and Henry Anderson got a hand on him, and Adams.
Really enjoyed our visit with head coach Sean McDermott last night, and the conversation that we had about Frank Gore. He said he lives and loves football. He's got a great passion for the game that's infectious and totally authentic, and he's been so good for this young offensive team. So good for their other running back, the rookie Devin Singletary out of Florida Atlantic, and he's taken him under his wing, and it's amazing what this guy's been able to do. 36 years old, 15th season in the league.
It's the end of the first quarter. A pick 6 by the Jets. 6-0 New York.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Microsoft Surface and by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage.
Kellenberg Memorial High School in Uniondale fell to Cardinal Hayes yesterday, ending Long Island football's second longest active streak. Wins at 22 games. Starting the second quarter, second down and 9. Gore out. Devin Singletary is in. 5 in the Jets secondary. Outside it goes for the tight end. Dawson Knox, who's a rookie, picks up a yard on the play. Read well, brought down. Knox is a third-round pick out of Ole Miss. Gain of 1 to the 40.
Well, the Bills like this empty no-back offense. I think it simplifies things for the young quarterback. It spreads out the defense. It allows them to get the ball out quickly. It was a very productive set for them last year. They averaged 8.5 yards per play as opposed to 4.7. Certainly creates some natural running lanes for the quarterback as well.
Josh Allen 9 of 13 with a pick 6. Mosley took it 17 yards to the house. 3rd and 8. This is Singletary. The rookie bobbled it and dropped it incomplete. Are they saying they're going to pick it up and run it back, and that's Neville Hewitt. But you can see the official there at the bottom of your screen waving it off, which he initially did. Nonetheless, you like the hustle. Here comes the punting unit for Buffalo.
Kevin, you and I were just talking during the break about how things speed up during the regular season as compared to what we even experienced in the preseason, even calling the broadcast. And you can just see with a rookie running back like Singletary how quickly this game is as compared to what you see in the preseason. You know, the preseason, you've seen a lot of second and third teamers that don't make the 53-man rosters.
Bojorquez to punt for Buffalo. Berrios is deep back. And then at the 13 and into the end zone, touchback to the 20. Good hang too. 60-yard punt. But to the 20 it is. Here come the Jets and Sam Darnold. That's a look at what the Jets have done on 2 early possessions. Bell, 4 carries, 23 yards.
Yeah, they've had a difficult time finding the rhythm. You look at a 3-and-out. I always say the 3-and-outs are demoralizing to an offense. The Jets led the league in 3-and-outs a season ago.
4 in the secondary for Buffalo. It's a 1st and 10. Le'Veon Bell picking and poking his way and brought down by Poyer and others, and hit finally by Alexander. Gain of 10. First down to Amanda.
When you talk to Le'Veon Bell and Sam Darnold about the relationship, they both call it balance, because Sam Darnold, he likes structure, what Bell really is not used to. So he says he really keeps him in line. And in terms of what Bell does for Darnold, well, he gives him that backyard football mentality that he took from Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. They balance each other out.
Different kind of line, though. What he had in Pittsburgh was a top 5 offensive line. This is a rebuilt line here for the Jets, led by the center Ryan Khalil, who they got out of retirement. 1st and 10. And to the sideline and incomplete, and looking across the way for Enunwa, who's back in the game after going under the 10. 2nd down and 10.
And you mentioned Khalil. He gets walked back into the quarterback. The pressure internally has been a problem so far for this Jets offensive line. I mentioned at the top, the Bills have invested heavily in their defensive line and free agency in the draft. It's where a lot of the money has been spent. That's going to be the big challenge, I think, today for this Jets offensive line to slow down that front 4.
Khalil, 34 years of age, 5-time Pro Bowler with the Carolina Panthers, came out of retirement to join the team. 2nd down and 10. Hadn't played in preseason. Bell coming off the side, a nice play right there defensively. With a loss on the play, the hit and tackle by Taron Johnson, loss of a yard.
Well, the problem is they bring a corner blitz, and Le'Veon Bell's got no chance. I mean, you just see they have the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's not blocked, so Le'Veon Bell, all he can do is try and hold on and run front side. That's tough. You're going to see the pressure off the edge from Johnson, and he's not blocked.
Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, dialed that one up. 3rd down 11. They need the 40. Into the nickel, Sam Darnold. On the cross, caught right here. Jamison Crowder's got the 1st down. Catching and running his way to the New York 41. It's a catch and run of 13 on 3rd and 11.
Well, we mentioned, you look at Crowder, he's going to be working inside on Johnson. A nice little stop and stutter move there, and Crowder was very productive in Washington doing just that.
Ryan Griffin on 1st and 10, working that sideline, and was not belted out of play by Levi Wallace and picked up some additional yards. 11 yards through the air. Another Jet 1st down and near midfield.
I really liked Ryan Griffin when he was with the Texans. He's battled some injuries, but he's a good-looking tight end and a very good route runner. Could do some damage in the middle of the field against those linebackers and safeties.
5 in the secondary for the Bills. 1st and 10 outside. That is hauled in. Robbie Anderson, who led the Jets in receptions a season ago, close to a 1st down to the 38 to James Brown and Boomer.
Hey, Rich Gannon won't want to see this, Boomer.
Well, I'm sure he remember hits just like this. He gets pile driven into the ground. Nick Foles does, right on his left shoulder. He's out for the rest of the game. He's going to be replaced by a rookie from Washington State, Gardner Minshew, the 2nd. Jacksonville behind Kansas City.
Kevin, Rich, and Amanda.
2nd down and 2. Thank you, guys. Jordan Poyer comes through with a sack. It's the 2nd sack by the Buffalo Bills, and back to the 40.
There's Poyer, and again, a free rusher, and this has been a problem. You get, first of all, identification, communication, and then execution, and they're just not picking up that 5th and 6th man rush. Giving Sam Darnold a number of different looks defensively, not just with the fronts, but with the shell of that secondary.
3rd and 6, they need the 38. Jets punted the first 2 times they had the ball. Blocked by Bell, time for Darnold, and he's got him. Crowder's got the 1st down. Snaking his way into the grasp of Ed Oliver. It's a gain of 8 on 3rd down and 6 to the 36 of the Buffalo Bills.
There's a reason why you spend a lot of money. Keep an eye on Le'Veon Bell. Look at the block he gets up on top here. You think about him as a great runner and as a great pass rush or pass receiver, but nice job blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage, Matt Milano.
180.
Crowder's got 2 catches for 21st and 10. Some play action by Darnold, and going deep into the, he's got him! Broken up beautifully in the end zone. They were going for Anderson, and Johnson was right there. Taron Johnson.
Really nice recovery by Johnson. Kevin, you mentioned Robbie Anderson has him, but just watch here at the very end. Watch how he's able to get that arm up in there and just punch the ball out.
Wow.
Really nice recovery by Johnson.
Jets on this drive have gotten Bell on a 10-yard run, a catch and run of 13 by Crowder, a catch, first down, run after it for Crowder again. Anderson's caught one for 10. Griffin, the tight end, catch and run of 11. 2nd and 10. Drive started back at the Jet 20. It's Bell. Oh, nice stick right there. Edmonds led the brigade. No gain on the play. They stay at the Buffalo 36.
Good look at Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Kevin, you talked about some of their numbers. Number 2 in total defense, number 1 against the pass a season ago, and they like this group.
Sticking in the nickel. Number 1 pass defense, as Rich was just talking about. They really carried that Bills 2018 team. 3rd and 10. Here they come, and there he goes. Tripped up by Lawson. Shaq Lawson comes and trips up Darnold on that 3rd and 10. 3rd sack for the Buffalo Bills. Last year in sacks, they were near the bottom of the NFL.
Well, this is all effort. You just watch Shaq Lawson. He's going to come in. He gets close the first time, doesn't get there, and he just keeps hustling, keeps fighting, and finds a way to get Sam Darnold on the ground. Great effort by Shaq Lawson.
Number 1 pick out of Clemson 4 years ago, and they've knocked him out of field goal range thanks to Lawson and the coverage by the Bills secondary. Edwards to punt for a 3rd consecutive Jets possession. Micah Hyde. And fair caught at the 4. Under 9 to play in the first half, 37-yard punt. The Bills with pressure. Down goes Darnold. It's the Jets 6-zip. Beautiful day in New York. Some mysteries can't be explained. Don't miss the premiere of Evil. It's Thursday, September 26th. On CBS, Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, Amanda Balionis on the sideline. Frank Gore is in for a 2nd series. He did not start today. The rookie Devin Singletary out of Florida Atlantic did a high pick. 1st and 10. Gore with a wonderful block up front by John Feliciano. He steamrolls for 9 up to the Buffalo 14.
Well, the Bills need more from the running back position. Last year, the Bills averaged just 77 rushing yards per game from the running backs. Big reason why they went out and got Frank Gore. He's a tone setter. The other thing about Frank Gore, Kevin, is there's not a lot of negative runs when he puts his hands on the football. A lot of 3- and 4-yard carries, knocking bodies backwards.
Jets with 4 in the secondary. 2nd down 1. Gore remains. Allen. Gore. How about McClendon? He got the fumble recovery earlier. He has the stop there. Gain of 1 down to Amanda.
Yeah, Frank Gore might be the oldest running back in the NFL, but don't tell him that. He told us earlier in the week the players he usually works out with in the offseason started getting too old for him, so he replaced them with some younger competition in the form of his son, of course. I asked him, is it a father-son type event for you guys? He goes, no, I treat him like any other competitor, and that's just how we do this. He said, when you start thinking old, you go old, so Gore might just be getting younger, guys.
His son just signed with Florida Atlantic. He's a running back out of Miami Killian High School. 1st down and 10. Gore just got the first down right there. Singletary back in. Look out. Hit as he throws, and he got it away. And there's Beasley to the 22. Hit by number 22, Tremaine Johnson, with a gain of 8 on the play. The quarterback, Allen, 10 of 15.
You're going to see the hit he takes right at the end of this one. And again, that Cole Beasley security blanket. Just watch the hit, though, from Jamal Adams. Boom. You got to track 33 and 57 every snap.
How about the Bills? 3 new wide receivers, 3 new running backs, 4 new tight ends, 4 new offensive linemen. I mean, they revamped, rebuilt, whatever you want to call it. 2nd down and 2. Broadside Beasley's got the first down, and from behind, Roberts has him. Not before he gains yards out to the 31. Pickup of 8 in the first.
We look at so many changes around the young quarterback. 2 different receivers, 3 new running backs on the roster, 4 new tight ends, and 4 new offensive linemen up in front of Josh Allen, and that can be unsettling. Got a new center, Mitch Morris. They spent a lot of money on him in free agency. He didn't play a lot in the preseason. He was dealing with a concussion, so they haven't played a lot of football together. And his offensive coordinator Brian Dable told us this could be a work in progress.
Morris, the highest paid center in pro football, 1st and 10. Here comes the rush as he got away that time from Kaufusi, and there goes a flag and incomplete, and all kinds of moving parts on this one.
You know, the thing I struggle with as a young quarterback, Kevin, is sometimes just throwing the football away on the early downs. You know, you're so competitive. You think you can make every throw, and I think that's what got Josh Allen a little bit last year, and Sam Darnold. And I just think that in year 2, you hope that they realize that sometimes the best play, the only play, is to throw it away on 1st and 10 and move on.
And Rich, here this early in the season, the defense obviously seems to be at least ahead of the offense.
There's no question about it. And you know, I think in week 1 in the NFL, there are going to be a lot of unknowns.
Eligible man downfield on a forward pass. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
We were just talking about Mitch Morris, and sure enough, he's whistled right there and flagged.
Yep.
Came from Kansas City. Missed all of camp, as Rich was just talking about, with the concussion. Of course, they've been looking for a center since the career-ending neck injury of Eric Wood. They paid a lot to get Morris. There he is, 1st and 15, back at the Buffalo 26. 5 defensive backs. Singletary in the backfield. Allen. And got him downfield, and that's caught by the tight end, Tommy Sweeney, a rookie out of Boston College. Boy, how'd the quarterback buy the time to find him? And it's a gain of 29 on the play to the 45 of the Jets.
Great patience and poise by Josh Allen. He doesn't panic. You just watch him at the top of his drop. He goes through his progressions. He pumps. It's not there. He gets outside the edge there a little bit and is able to keep his eyes downfield in the ball in the throwing position and find the rookie, Tommy Sweeney.
He was a 7th-round draft choice. That got by just the nick of Tremaine Johnson. 1st and 10. That's deflected at the line with heavy pressure. They were looking for Beasley. Adams slow to get up. 2nd down and 10. Coming up in the Verizon halftime report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for scores and news and highlights. Mahomes limping off the field. Foles was knocked out of that game in Jacksonville. All kinds of early season headlines already. The Verizon halftime coming up next.
I'm just telling you,
CBS.
There is a real shortage of quality quarterbacks and depth in our league. And you start looking down these rosters, not a lot of good backups in the NFL right now.
5 in the secondary. Gore is in. 2nd and 10. And the play clock went down. Well, there's a 0 right there. Let's see what Clay Martin says and confirms.
Timeout. Buffalo, they're first.
We step aside on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Modelo, a taste that's pure gold, brewed for those with a fighting spirit. And by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Bills in the midst of their 5th possession. Fumble, pick 6, and 2 punts. Allen, 2nd and 10. On the move, needs the 35, and from behind, belted by Luvu. And he's down to about the 36, and a scamper there of 8. Beasley's caught a couple. Sweeney caught a 29-yard pass on this draw.
Well, we talk about being disciplined with the rush lanes. You just watch this gap. And that's what Josh Allen sees, and this is what the Jets have talked about all week. Being disciplined with your eyes and your rush lanes and keeping him in the pocket. Force Josh Allen to function as a pocket passer.
Gore is in. Fullback DeMarco, 3rd and 2. The quarterback at 6'5" will take it for the 1st down, pushing the pile. Looks, well, I don't know. The spot isn't all that good.
I think he's going to be a little bit short.
I think he is, too. It looked like he had penetrated, and then it looks now, as they mark it off, that he's well shy. And Williams at the bottom of that pile. That's the strength of this Jets defense, that front three.
And they may have done this, Kevin, knowing that they were in 4-down territory and that they were going to go for it on 4th down. Not a lot of, you don't see much of the quarterback sneak anymore, but then again, you don't see a lot of quarterbacks in our game that are 6'5", 240 pounds.
4th and 1.
That's why you spent the money on Frank Gore in the offseason.
Allen lost the ball. It's loose inside. And picked up by Mosley. Another turnover. The 3rd by the Bills. Bad exchange, and there haven't been that many so far between Morris and Allen. 3 turnovers by the quarterback, Allen of the Bills. 1 a pick 6, 2 fumbles, 37-yard line, 1st and 10, Bell. To the 42. And hit on the play by Wallace, gain of 4.
Well, if you're curious as to what caused the fumble, keep an eye on the nose tackle, Quinnen Williams, the rookie out of Alabama. Watch what he does to the center, Mitch Morse. He just walks him right back into the lap of Josh Allen. That's what jars the ball loose. I mean, Allen never gets the ball. And C.J. Mosley again makes a big play for the Jets.
8 carries, 36 yards for Bell. 2nd and 6. Here he goes again. Looking for a block from Khalil. Covered by Latulele, and a gain of 2 near the 43.
But both defenses have played well here in the first half, and I think both offenses, Kevin, are finding it difficult to get in the rhythm. Convert 3rd downs, make plays on 1st and 2nd down, stay in normal down and distance situations.
3rd and 4. In the nickel. Batted down. Beautiful play. Shaq Lawson was right there. Playing volleyball. And swats it away. Bringing up 4th down.
Well, Shaq Lawson knows he can't get to the quarterback, so he does the next best thing. He's able to jump up and swat the ball with that left hand. Jets struggling, just 3 of 7 on 3rd down.
4 possessions, 4 punts. Lachlan Edwards to punt once again for the Jets, and Micah Hyde is back there to retrieve it. Which he does on a slide at the 18, hang of 4. 39-yard punt. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm. Well, we're talking about these players that have not had a lot of snaps in the preseason, especially Mitch Morse, who's the high-price center for the Bills, new right there, and he's not had a lot of summertime work with the quarterback, Josh Allen.
No, he hasn't. And he had the concussion. He's missed a lot of time. And this group as a whole, Kevin, they haven't played a lot together in the preseason. 4 new starters up front.
1st and 10 after the Jets' 4th consecutive punt. On the backfield they go. And it's caught right here. And Singletary looking for a block from Brown and out of bounds. Roberts was there. Gain of 4. Buffalo's 22.
Now they're excited about Devin Singletary. Extremely productive in college. 3-year starter at FAU, and 67 touchdowns. And he's a big reason why they moved on from LaShawn McCoy, a similar type back.
McCoy released, signed with Kansas City. 2nd down and 6. Two-minute warning. Mosley with a pick 6, rumbling 17 yards. Missed extra point. Jets on top, 6-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, the network more people rely on. And by Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above.
Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from our CBS studios. JB and company for scores, news, and highlights. Coming up in the Verizon halftime report. 2nd down and 6. Jets have had it 4 times, 4 punts. Bills have turned it over 3 times. 2 fumbles and a pick 6. Extra point Missed by the Jets' new kicker. 6-0 New York. Wow, what a stick out there. Tremaine Johnson got him. And a loss of 2 on the play. Singletary. Wow.
Well, we were just talking about Tremaine Johnson and the fact that Zay Jones hasn't had a single catch. I just think you've got to be able to throw the ball outside the numbers and attack these corners. You got to find out about Tremaine Johnson and Darryl Robinson. I'm not talking about these 2- and 3-yard hitches. I'm talking about pushing the ball down the field, seeing if they can cover the deep ball. And most of the completions have been inside to obviously Beasley and Brown.
I was going to say Singletary was open and he missed him, and Jones makes the grab, and look out, Allen hit again, and that's caught on the play. 3rd and 8 pass caught by Brown, and his speed to his advantage near the 48-yard line of Buffalo. A catch and run of 28 yards.
Well, Tremaine Johnson's not going to be able to hang with John Brown. Just watch. Go ahead and freeze it right here. He can't. This guy can't cover this guy. And you've got to be able to exploit that matchup. And you can just see he is struggling. Good job by Josh Allen sitting in there and having a tough jaw. Got to take advantage of the matchups and find out if these Jets corners can cover down the field.
Bills 2 timeouts, 1st and 10. Singletary back there offers a block, and here they come up the middle, and Hewitt forced the pass. It was intended for Brown. And it's incomplete, and the coverage over there by Roberts. 2nd and 10 for the Bills.
We watched the Jets practice on Friday, and Greg Williams is a ball of energy. He challenges these players every practice, every rep. He talks about the culture that they want to create, and he's not afraid to play young players. And they're going to rotate a lot of different bodies through that front 7. They'll play a 3-4. They'll play a 4-3. They'll play a jam front. They'll play nickel. He uses a lot of different personnel groupings. It's a lot to prepare for.
T.J. Yeldon is in. 2nd and 10. Deflected, intercepted on the play by Hewitt. Another Buffalo turnover. 4 in the first half.
Just keep an eye on Longy. He's the one that bats the ball. He's a free rusher. He tips it up and right into the waiting arms of Neville Hewitt.
Neville Hewitt is replacing the injured Avery Williamson out with an ACL. And the Bills have turned it over 4 times in 6 possessions. Those numbers are ominous. Bell in the backfield, 1st and 10. Jets 3 timeouts, 48 of Buffalo. Darnold dumps it off on the play. Crowder from behind, hit by Milano. Nice catch and run, Jamison Crowder, the ex-Redskin. 19-yard catch and run to the 19-yard line, make it the 29-yard line of Buffalo. Timeout taken. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Jeff Peanut Butter. Darnold is 8 of 12. 2 timeouts apiece. 1st down and 10. You see the time remaining here in the 2nd quarter.
Good offenses have the ability to take advantage of turnovers and good starting field position. And you look at Darnold, he made that last play happen just by running around, buying some time, allowing those receivers to work down the field versus man-to-man coverage.
We say 4 turnovers for Buffalo, but the Jets have only gotten 6 points. So the defense again playing a role for the Bills, forcing 4 Jet punts. This is their 5th possession. 1st and 10. Darnold underneath, and he's got Crowder again. Read well that time by Taron Johnson. He's out of Weber State. He allows only a gain of 2 down to the 27-yard line of the Bills. Another timeout. Going underneath that time. So the Bills have had trouble, and it began early when Josh Allen fumbled and McClendon was the one to vacuum it in.
Yeah, then he just misfires on a low throw to Cole Beasley. C.J. Mosley is there for the easy interception. You get the false, the center quarterback exchange issue again. It's C.J. Mosley, and then a deflected ball that lands right into the arms of Neville Hewitt. 4 turnovers today already for the Buffalo Bills. And Kevin, that was a problem a season ago. They turned the ball over 32 times. Only the Buccaneers were worse with 35.
2nd down and 8, but like you saw, as we just said, only 6 points off those 4 turnovers. At least we're going to find out what happens and what they do right here. Here is another stoppage of play. It is another timeout. It is taken by the Bills. Now each team with a single timeout.
The Jets have to be willing to jump the ball here now. They want to save that last timeout if in fact they have to use it on the field goal team to get out there and get set. And again, we know that the Jets have some issues right now. Vedvik missed an extra point earlier, and we saw him struggle in warmups.
Third kicker in 2 weeks for the Jets. 2nd down and 8. The timeout remains. Trying to cash in on his 4th Buffalo turnover.
180.
He's into the nickel and knocked down beautifully and almost picked up on the play. Jerry Hughes came through. Hughes has a sack today and now a batted ball. Pretty defensive play by the veteran, 10 years out of TCU, Jerry Hughes.
This is just bad football. You don't block the end man on the line of scrimmage. So he's able to come in and just jump up and bat this ball down. The intended pass was to Le'Veon Bell, but that's just, you're asking too much of Sam Darnold. You got to turn the line and make sure you get Jerry Hughes's hands down so that Sam Darnold has a free throwing lane.
Bills have had 3 sacks today. The batted ball right there. 3rd down and 8. Defense keeping them in like they did last year. And here we go with a timeout by Buffalo. That is the final timeout by the Bills.
I think it's a good timeout, Ken. I think they wanted to take a look at that formation. I don't know that they had the right coverage called, and good use of a timeout. Down by 6.
Look at Leslie Frazier, the defense we've talked about a lot. They were so highly ranked a year ago, a season ago. The Bills were 6-10 after going 9-7 in 2017 and making the playoffs. Jets last year 4-12. They fired Todd Bowles and they hired Adam Gase, who was let go at Miami after 3 years coaching the Dolphins. 3rd down and 8. 27 of the Bills, and they've got this on an interception by Hewitt.
Comes the blitz.
Darnold beats him a block at the left tackle. It's incomplete for Bell. He had coverage on the play, and Edmonds was on his tail to the far side. 4th down now and 8 to go, and here comes the field goal unit for New York.
I really like Oliver. He's right here. But you look, everyone's going to blitz except Edmonds, so they bring a 5-man pressure, and that frees up Oliver and, of course, Matt Milano.
45-yard field goal try by Corey Vedvik from Norway. He's out of Marshall. He was with Baltimore and was very impressive a season ago, but he got hurt in an off-field altercation and was an IR all last season for the Rams.
And the spot on the right hash may actually help Vedvik, Kevin. He was missing a lot of his kicks to the left, as we talked about, so the left hash kicks are maybe even more challenging for him as we watched him go in the opposite direction, missing a lot of kicks from that left hash.
The Telltales on top of the uprights, barely moving, and the wind was not supposed to get in double digits today. He did hit a 55-yard field goal in preseason. 45-yard try. Edwards will hold, and Hennessy will snap it. And this is no good.
Didn't get a clean hold. It was a low snap. And Lachlan Edwards kind of fumbled with it for a second, and that slowed down the approach from Vedvik. Just watch the hold. It's a little bit low.
Yep, you're right, Rich.
He can't get it down, and he has a difficult time spinning the laces. See, it came back a little wobbly. That wasn't a great hold. That certainly didn't help Vedvik, and you can see Brant Boyer, the special teams coordinator, he's frustrated. Sam Darnold. There's nothing worse than when you don't trust the kicker. You know what I mean? And you mentioned, Kevin, they've had so many kickers through that locker room here the last couple weeks. In hindsight, they should have spent the money to keep Jason Myers.
They're going to let the clock run, and we're going to go to halftime. Can you believe the Jets have only 6 points on 4 turnovers in the first half?
If you're Sean McDermott, you should be thrilled with the way your defense played. Your offense has got to do a better job taking care of the football. But Kevin, you turned the ball over 4 times in the first half on the road, and you're only down 6-0.
Unbelievable. A fumble by the quarterback, Allen, twice. He threw a pick 6 to Mosley, who returned it 17 yards for a touchdown. Extra point, no good. And they tried to get a field goal right there on an interception by Hewitt, and that 45-yarder was wide right. The Jets leave 4 points on the field. That's the end of the first half. First half highlights coming up now from Verizon.
Broadcast is copyrighted by NFL Productions for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this broadcast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of NFL Productions is prohibited.
Welcome back to the Meadowlands. The Jets on top 6-0. Bills have turned it over 4 times. Let's take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. The turnovers by the quarterback, Josh Allen, and the highest paid inside linebacker in pro football, newly signed C.J. Mosley, takes it in for the touchdown for the Jets. And that's where we stand right now. The kicker has missed an extra point, Vedvik, and he just missed a 45-yard field goal. That being said, what's caught your eye in the first half?
Well, I think if you're a defensive coach for either team, you've got to be pretty happy, quite frankly, with the way both teams have played. Offensively, it's a much different story, Kevin. The Bills have turned the ball over 4 times, as you said, and offensively, the Jets really haven't been able to find their tempo. They had just 28 offensive snaps in the first half. Both teams struggling on 3rd down. And the key in the second half, if you're the Jets, get Le'Veon Bell back in this game. He had some touches early in the first quarter, but he's been quiet since. And for Buffalo, Josh Allen, anyone touching the football, ball security is going to be critical here in the second half. They've got to feel actually pretty good. They turned it over 4 times. You look up the scoreboard, they're only down 6-0. They still have a chance on the road. When you turn the football over 4 times on the road, you almost always lose.
Jets won the toss of the coin, so they elected to get this second half kickoff. As you take a look through 30 minutes of football at some of our numbers here in the Meadowlands. This team split last year. They split the year before. But new revamped offenses and defensive changes for the Jets. And we start with Hauschka kicking off for the Buffalo Bills the second half. 4 Buffalo turnovers. Jets only 6 points off those turnovers, with high expectations for both teams coming in. And away we go with our second half. And Trenton Cannon will let it go over his head into the end zone. Touch back to the 25, to the sideline, Amanda Baliolas.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Gase about the Jets finding that offensive rhythm, and he told me, listen, we're shooting ourselves in the foot with this 3-and-out stuff, and we're also showing things offensively that I haven't really seen from our guys yet. I asked about any kicking adjustments. He looked at me and said, what are we going to do? I'm not going to be out there kicking. In terms of Sean McDermott, when I asked him about what's going on offensively, he did tell me, he said, listen, we're moving the ball well. We just have to limit those mistakes, especially with the penalties and the turnovers, but expect more of what you've seen offensively when they do get the ball moving, guys.
Amanda, thank you. 5 in the Buffalo secondary. Bell out of the backfield. Darnold 1st and 10. Hughes jumping. There goes the flag.
Good job changing the snap count. Got to do everything you can to help this offensive line, and this is a really good defensive line that can rush the passer by changing up the count.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 55. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Hughes had a batted ball back in the first half. 3 sacks by that Buffalo defense, holding the Jets to 4 punts, and then the missed field goal on their 5th possession. 1st and 5. Sam Darnold, who ended last year in the last 4 games as the #1 quarterback rated by Pro Football Focus. 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. He looked well. And after coming back from that hurt foot, here's a first down throw. It's Crowder with the tackle made by Micah Hyde. And it's a gain of 6. And it's a first down for the Jets to the 36.
See the Jets going no huddle, a little up tempo. You want to be able to control how they play this game. And that makes it difficult for the Bills to make substitutions, to be able to communicate and dial up all those pressures.
First and 10. Here's the tight end. Second catch for Ryan Griffin. He had a nice catch and run earlier in this game. Took it up a sideline for 11. Here he picks up 2. He's batted out about the 38-yard line.
With both teams having a difficult time throwing some of these quick balls to the flat because they're not blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage.
Le'Veon Bell, by the way, has run it 9 times, caught it twice, 11 touches so far. Second down and 8. There's one. The block by Griffin. Wano trying to bring him down. Then in the secondary, it's Levi Wallace who finally gets him out of Alabama, out near the 44, and a gain of 6.
This is a good looking run by Le'Veon Bell. We talked about the patience, but watch the spin move. Right here you'll see him get hit. Now he just spins right out of it. And we watched him at practice on Friday. He's a bigger, taller back, and that was interesting talking to Adam Gase. He said they studied very closely what Mike Martz did with Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk in St. Louis, and they're trying to incorporate some of those concepts into their offense to take advantage of the skill set of Le'Veon Bell.
Crowder on the move, 5 in the secondary, 3rd and 2 for Darnold. And he's got Crowder again. Drilled by Wallace, has the first down into Bills territory near the 50, gain of 6 in the move the chains. Well, as the NFL celebrates its 100th season, we take a look at some of the memories and moments and milestones in league history. Only 2 players had a season with 1,000+ yards rushing and receiving. Roger Craig in '85, the Niners. '99, Marshall Faulk with the Rams. Outside they go on 1st and 10. Anderson could not scoop it. Milano was out there incomplete near the 40. 2nd and 10.
Well, we just saw Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. Kevin, I don't see any reason why Le'Veon Bell can't rush for 1,000 this year with his Jets and also have 1,000 yards receiving. He talked about having 100 catches, and he's going to be busy. He's had 10 carries so far. He's only caught 2 balls, but hasn't been for a lack of effort. They're trying to feed him the football.
Second down and 10.
180.
Here comes that 4-man front. And Darnold. High and incomplete for Anderson. Tailed by Wallace. Flag thrown. Darnold getting up. Buffalo defense returned 10 starters, all but Kyle Williams, who retired. 10 starters off the #2 defense. This against the Jets.
Prior to the pass, illegal use of the hands to the face. Offense, number 55. That penalty has been declined. It's 3rd down.
Khalil. Now they'll make it 3rd and 10. Let's watch this one again.
For the 4th time today, Kevin, this Jets offense has faced a 3rd and 10 or longer. It's a tough way to make a living.
You're right.
Especially against the #1 pass defense in football a season ago.
Brown looks into the nickel. He's got a 3rd down and 10. Right at midfield. First possession of the second half. Getting caught up in the wash and down. Hit by Lorenzo Alexander and Trent Murphy. They were coming at him in waves. 4th sack for the Buffalo Bills. It goes back to the 45.
We talk about some stunts and games inside and doing a lot of different things to confuse the protection scheme of the Jets. But look at the penetration. Just really nowhere for Sam Darnold to go.
4 sacks for Sean McDermott's defense, keeping him in and forcing another punt by Lachlan Edwards. Hyde back at about the 10 for the Bills. at the 5 and down at about the 3. Make it the 2. Trenton Cannon grabbed it. Good hang time, well covered, perfectly placed by Edwards. 6-0 Jets early third. People affected by severe weather and other disasters need help now. To support those impacted by Hurricane Dorian, text Dorian to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. At the 2, the Bills will get it after another punt by the Jets, their 5th of the game. Second start inside the 10. It's Gore on 1st and 10, drilled at the line of scrimmage. They call a safety. Adams and Poole. Everybody had a hand on that one, and the Jets have gone up 8-0.
Look at essentially 9-man front football, and you got Adams on the one side and Poole, and no one is able to block Brian Poole, and he makes the contact. You see the corner right there, the nickel corner. He makes the contact right there in the backfield, and not a lot Frank Gore can do in that situation. Where the offense can't get out of their way.
It looked like his progress had taken him outside. As they do review every scoring play, and they have.
Well, it's really close, isn't it? You just can't tell from that angle. But Kevin, I see what you're talking about. You look at the forward progress, and that's what's most important, and that's probably what Sean McDermott's talking to the officials about.
They do call New York, and they go to the command center, but our replay official here, Tom Sifferman, formerly a field judge, holds the distinction of being the only official in NFL history to work 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So he is upstairs, and Gene Steratore is our rules analyst. And Gene, what do you see?
Well, you guys are right, and because it's a scoring play, it can be reviewed. Unfortunately, I don't think we get a clear enough look to be able to make a decision well enough to change the ruling as it exists on the field, because as they stated, the entire football has to come out beyond that goal line stripe. So that's the deciding factor, and there was not enough obvious evidence, I'm sure, for them to overturn the ruling.
Gino, thank you. Here's Braxton Berrios, and he takes it with a gain of 10. They're about the 40-yard line, and the Jets will get it again. Sean McDermott trying to keep his team afloat, but my goodness, the resume of today has been ugly in every way for the Buffalo Bills, except for their defense holding strong.
Well, the defense is going to have to start doing what the Jets defense has done, Kevin, start scoring. I mean, the Jets defense has been responsible for all 8 points, and if your offense is struggling, sometimes a turnover, sometimes a big play can kind of help jumpstart that offense.
Darnold on 1st and 10, quickly outside, caught by Enunwa with a block and then a tackle from behind by Edmonds. To the sideline and to the 48 and a pickup of 8 and to Amanda.
Bills cornerback Taron Johnson was in the tent being evaluated. He was then taken into the locker room. He's been ruled out with a hamstring injury.
Thank you. 2nd down and 2. A lot of no huddle by both teams today. Jets in particular. Bell. Swithers has the first down. And holding on for dear life down below as White makes the stop. But a gain of 6. Bell running well. 46-yard line of Buffalo. First down.
I think you got to keep feeding Le'Veon Bell, Kevin. He got some opportunities early in the game in the first quarter. It was quiet in the second quarter. And you look at your call sheet, you make sure you got to keep making sure that he gets opportunities, he gets touches, whether it's on the ground in the running game or in the passing game.
Just under 5 yards a carry today. He's touched it 13 times. 1st and 10. Bell, you called it, Rich. Blocked by Griffin. Then they come. There's Wasson with a nice hit. And once again, Edmonds, have called his name a lot. The #1 pick out of Virginia Tech. No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10.
Well, the first order of business this offseason was helping the young quarterback with a more productive running game. Last season, the Jets were 29th in yards per rush. That's a big reason why they went out and signed Le'Veon Bell, who leads the NFL in scrimmage yards per game since 2013. He's going to be busy, Kevin. It's just a question of where he's at in terms of his football shape, and I think they're finding out more and more about that today.
And there's a difference, isn't there?
There really is. You can condition as much as you want, but it's so much different when you put those pads on.
2nd and 10. Here's Crowder. Got away from Edmonds, and there was a lasso there at the very end by Neal. Flag back at the 45. Pickup of 7, but maybe wiped away.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 97. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. First down.
That's Jordan Phillips on the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills, the former Miami Dolphin.
And he hit him low, and that's what they're calling. He hit him around the knees. Big penalty there for the Jets.
Sure is. Now they're at the 24. Kicker of the Jets today has missed an extra point. Vedvik, he's missed a field goal of 45. 1st and 10. Crowder, jet sweep. And he got away from Trent Murphy. Got away from Wallace. He was drilled hard that time. Milano over there, gain of 4. He's down to the Buffalo 20.
A really nice effort there by Crowder, making a couple defenders miss, including Trent Murphy, who's got him right in his grasp. And then you look at this miss right here in the secondary by Levi Wallace. Great effort, great individual effort by Jamison Crowder.
Crowder with his first carry. Crowder's also got 7 receptions and 60 yards today. He's been busy, like Bell, 2nd and 6. Right tackle with a signal right there. Right guard.
Delay of game.
Yep. Right guard is Brian Winters, and he was trying to.
You got a new center, Kevin, so
Yep.
the communication always
Prior
a concern.
to the delay of game, New York takes its first time out of the half. 30 seconds.
And that timeout came from the boundary. I don't think Sam Darnold really saw that play clock. And then again, you talk about Khalil. You got to over communicate because he hasn't been around these guys very long.
Next week, week 2 of the NFL on CBS begins with many of you headed to Miami for an AFC East showdown between the Patriots and the Dolphins. And some of you will head out west for a clash between Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and the Raiders. Boy, Miami is getting destroyed today by Baltimore. Starting next Sunday, noon Eastern, the NFL Today, right here on CBS.
The Dolphins kept 14 players. They kept 14 players that weren't with them in training camp. So they acquired 14 players after the final cutdown, and that's unusual, and I'm not surprised to see them struggle in week 1.
Baltimore steamrolling them. Kansas City is winning. New England players denied against Pittsburgh. 2nd down and 6 after the Jets timeout. Darnold outside, caught by Bell. Milano pushes him out of bounds. Maybe inside the 10. He did. It's a goal to go. Got him out at the 9. A catch of 11 yards for Le'Veon Bell. 1st and goal, Jets.
Well, you see Le'Veon Bell, and this is the defender that's responsible for covering him. And look at the separation that he gets. For some reason, Milano has his eyes in the backfield. He's not where he needs to be, and that's hugged up on the hip of Le'Veon Bell.
Bell, 12 carries for 50, 3 catches for 16. 1st and goal. Bell, good block by Winters to the 4. And around his ankles, he finds Ed Oliver, the rookie out of Houston, gain of 4.
Really enjoyed our visit with Le'Veon Bell on Friday, Kevin. You could tell he was anxious. You know, he said it's finally dawned on him on Friday. This is my last practice before, we get a chance to play for real. And it's been so long. You go back over 600 days since he had a chance. And he said he missed last season. It was one of the hardest things he ever had to go through as a professional.
Amanda said he woke up at 4 this morning. He was so excited.
Couldn't sleep.
2nd goal and 5. Darnold got by Murphy, throws for a touchdown. Walking in, the tight end, Griffin. How about Darnold? Escaping, throwing, scoring for the Jets.
And I don't think this was a design throw. I think this was an RPO. I think he decides to not hand it to Bell and run, and then all of a sudden he gets stuck. And in the corner of his eye, he sees an open receiver. But this, I think, was a design run. And what Sean McDermott's complaining about is that there were linemen downfield. You see Ryan Griffin standing there in the corner of the end zone. That was a designed run.
They review every scoring play, and that's what they're doing right now. Griffin's had a big day. We told you before, the regular tight end earned an out, 4-game suspension by the NFL. Griffin has been effective.
I think you look at the right tackle, Shell, he's downfield for sure. Watch 72.
They're reviewing 7.5 to play in the third. Did the Jets score or not? We will find out.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Experian. Raise your credit scores instantly with Experian Boost. Domino's. Order online and track your order. And by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
Reviewing the play, and Rich, you've taken a look at it a couple times.
Well, a couple things. They're looking at whether Enunwa interfered, and I think he's in good position here. I think the big question to me, Kevin, is whether or not the right tackle was downfield.
Ferentz, New York number 81. 10-yard penalty at the previous spot. We'll replay the down.
So Gene's territory, everything is on the table when they review in something like this, correct?
Correct. Scoring situation, so we can review all reviewable aspects of a player now in play. As we see Edmonds come off the line, if he is more than 1 yard beyond the original line of scrimmage and initiates contact, which he does by boxing that player out, by rule, that's offensive pass interference once the football is thrown beyond the line of scrimmage, or forward, I should say, in a forward pass scenario. Look, those are designed plays. Subtly, they OPI it, and I think when they go back to review, it's a great call and a good job by replay of upgrading that to an offensive pass interference.
And a good explanation by Eugene. Thank you. Now 2nd down and goal at the 15. And this is caught underneath. Crowder there looking for a block. Got it from Griffin, who's been a terrific blocking tight end today, and Anderson was down there as well. Gain is to about the 9. Give him a gain of 6 on that throw.
The Jets are doing a good job, not just attacking horizontally, but vertically. They're really stretching the field and making this Buffalo defense spread out and play in space and cover in space. A lot of quick throws to the perimeter.
Red zone defense a problem for the Bills a season ago. 30th. 3rd and goal from the 9. Darnold. Touchdown. Le'Veon Bell. What a return to the NFL it's been for him. 9-yard touchdown reception.
Talked about their ability to move Le'Veon Bell around in the formation. He's lined up outside in a stack of linemen. He's just going to run a little option route, and he breaks out and creates separation. And the matchup between Le'Veon Bell and the linebacker Matt Milano is a good one for the Jets. Milano's not going to be able to cover Le'Veon Bell when he's flanked out wide.
Bell's got 4 receptions, 13 carries, a touchdown, 17 touches, and they're going to go for 2. They missed an extra point earlier on after the pick 6 by Mosley. Going for 2.
Most teams would kick the extra point, Kevin, if you felt good about your field goal kicker.
Here comes Hughes. There goes Darnold. And Bell! He's doing it all for the Jets.
Well, Mills in position, and that's just a perfect throw by Sam Darnold in the back corner of the end zone to none other than Le'Veon Bell. Look at him jump up. Kevin, we talked about Le'Veon Bell. He's very natural catching the ball. He's got great hands. And the Jets are doing a terrific job utilizing him in a number of different formations, which is creating some issues for the Buffalo defense.
Big storyline coming in. Howard Gase, the new head coach of the Jets, with an offensive slant to his coaching. Find Bell impacting his offense today, and I would say so far so good. His defense pitching a shutout. They've taken the ball away 4 times. They've got a safety on top of that, and it's a 16-0 Jets lead. And they'll leave it in the end zone over the head of McKenzie.
Well, how about the way this group has played today? It all started in the first quarter. C.J. Mosley just in the right position off the deflection from the receiver. And again, another big play from this defense, a safety. This comes at the hands of Brian Poole. Jamal Adams, who were able to knock Frank Gore backwards at the goal line. Pretty good performance so far from this Jets defense. Just 165 yards allowed, but more importantly, those 4 takeaways have been huge.
Gore in the backfield, 1st and 10. Tries to cut. Well, then they bring him down. There's Hewitt. Flag is thrown. Hewitt has an interception today as Gore tries to wheel his way for some yards. And their new defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, shows a lot of looks defensively and tries to confuse all quarterbacks, including a second-year Josh Allen.
During the run, holding, defense, number 91. 5 yards will be added to the end of the play. It's an automatic. First down.
Kaufusi will pick that up.
Well, you look at those turnovers, 4 in the first half. Most by a quarterback since week 11, Nathan Peterman. Not a guy that the Bills fans think of in the greatest
way. Singletary in the backfield. Here's a 1st and 10. Got a block ahead. Good one by Morse, and there goes Singletary, who in essence has become now maybe their main carrier. Started the game, has played the most, 20-yard carry, 1st down, 49 of the Jets.
Well, they're going to pull the center Morris and the left guard Spain. You see the kick out block, and this is what they need. They need some explosive plays regardless of whether they're on the ground or through the air, and got to get Singletary going a little bit. He can really help them.
All-time leading rusher at Florida Atlantic. That's an FBS school. In 2017 had 32 rushing touchdowns. Yep, 32. Gore back in, 1st and 10.
Well, as bad as things have been for the Bills, Kevin, still just a 2-score game.
1st and 10. Nice hit right there by C.J. Mosley on Gore. No gain. They stay at the 49. Amanda.
2 rushing touchdowns. That's why they call Singletary Motor, and he grew up idolizing Frank Gore, watching as much film as he could on him and trying to emulate it. So imagine what that was like when he found out his idol would become his teammate this summer. He has not wasted a moment of this learning opportunity, you guys. As coaches told us where Frank is, Motor is on his back hip learning everything he can. And for Gore, he paid the young running back the ultimate compliment, saying he reminds him of himself 16 years ago.
That is a nice compliment. 2nd down and 10. Trying to block here, and incomplete. Looking for the tight end. Not holding on that time, Dawson Knox. Tyler Kroft is the usual starter, but he broke his foot on the first day of OTAs for the Bills, and so he has not practiced fully. He's just come back this week, but not playing inactive today.
Well, another 3rd and long against the Greg Williams coach defense. This is scary. You just don't know what to expect, whether you're going to get coverage or some type of pressure.
5 defensive backs again, 3rd and 10. Incomplete. Mosley in the vicinity where Cole Beasley was, but Beasley, there's a flag thrown too.
He wasn't even looking for the ball.
Past the ball, I know.
Quarterback and the receiver not on the same page.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 96. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
That's on a 3rd and 10, and Williams' defense called again for a penalty, and that's on Henry Anderson.
Well, it's a big mistake on 3rd and 10. Huge mistake from the veteran defensive end. Just watch Anderson. He comes in. I think he may get his hand up there, and he just hits him and knocks him down.
Gore is in with DeMarco. 1st and 10, 33 of the Jets. Allen slings it outside, and it's caught and grabbed. Nice catch out there by John Brown. Gain of 11. First down, 23 to New York. Here's James.
Speed kill.
It really does. Washington was up 17-0 at one point in this game. Carson Wentz comes back, finds Deshaun Jackson. It's a homecoming for him. 6 catches, 126 yards, 2 TDs. The Eagles overtake the Washington Redskins 21-20 in the 3rd quarter.
How many positions did Rich Gannon play on the football field?
I think like 3.
Oh, 3 of them? Yeah. Back to Kevin Harlan.
1st and 10, Gore. Blockers ahead. And Hewitt is there again with a nice defensive play. Losing 2 on the run. Gore, and again, Hewitt taking the place of the injured Avery Williamson out with an ACL. Hewitt is the man tackling there.
Good pursuit by Hewitt. You see him on the backside of this run, and he just keeps scraping down the line of scrimmage, and he's in the position to make that tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Jets defense pitching a shutout. Last year in points allowed, they were 29th in the league, averaging about 28 points against them a game. 2nd and 12. Allen deep end to the end zone. Broken up, incomplete. Mosley has been everywhere this afternoon, and no yellow on the field. That's a linebacker running all the way back to cover.
And keep an eye on Mosley. This is something that he didn't really do a lot of in Baltimore. They're playing 2-deep coverage, and he's responsible for the number 2 receiver vertically, and he shows that he can run down the middle of the field and make a play on the ball. Boy, C.J. Mosley has been outstanding today for the Jets in the middle of that defense.
5 defensive backs, 3rd and 12. Allen. And almost picked off, incomplete. May had it. Couldn't snare it. Nonetheless, 4th and 12. They'll try for 3.
Very dangerous throw here from Josh Allen. He doesn't have his feet underneath him. He just uses all arm here, and Marcus May drops what should have been an easy interception.
Boy, if he can just stay healthy. Allen took a big whack here.
He never is able to get his feet set and not able to really drive that ball. It sails him a little bit, and very fortunate that was dropped.
Hushka from 43. Got it. The shutout's gone, but the Jets hold the Bills to just 3. Back in the Meadowlands, a field goal by the Bills takes away the shutout chance for the Jets D. But the 2 high-price free agents they got, Bell and Mosley, have been terrific for New York this afternoon.
Yeah, you like to feel that you spent wisely in free agency, Kevin, and you look at what C.J. Mosley has done. He had the interception return for a touchdown. He had a fumble recovery. And how about Le'Veon Bell? He's getting cranked up. He's had 17 touches already, 13 rushes for 54 yards, and he looks like he's clearly shaken off the rust.
Trenton Cannon is back to retrieve this kickoff from Hushka. Cannon had some issues with muffing kicks. Camp last year seems to be better this year, they say. And here he goes, and Cannon out of Virginia State will let it go out of the back of the end zone to the 25 and a touchback.
Well, I talked earlier, I said you've got to find ways to keep feeding Le'Veon Bell the rock, and he's been very good out of the backfield in the passing game. We saw some of that in Pittsburgh. I think you're going to see even more of that this year. As Adam Gase told us, they went back and really studied what Mike Martz did with Hall of Fame running back Marshall Faulk in St. Louis, and they've tried to incorporate some of those concepts because Bell is a similar type back that can do some real damage in the passing game.
Bell has 4 receptions, 13 carries on the ground. And here's a pitch out right here on 1st and 10, and stiff arms his way past the 30, and Phillips getting him a gain of 5 near the 30-yard line. Let's go to our CBS studios. James and Boomer.
Cleveland coming back.
Well, Baker Mayfield heating up. He's hit 9 straight now, 20 of 27, 250 yards in this 3-yard touchdown pass to David Njoku. Actually gets him within 2 points of the Titans. Titans still lead 15-13. Back to you guys, Kevin and Rich.
Thank you, Boomer. 2nd down and 5.
There's been a lot of Cleveland talk all summer.
They sure has. Here's the pistol for the first time. 2nd and 5. Montgomery tries to go in there. Neal got an initial hit with a gain of about 2 on the play to the 32.
Well, you look at the second-year quarterbacks and what they've done today. You have 2 in our game, Allen and Darnold. Lamar Jackson, how about that, Kevin? 16 of 18. Everyone, we know about his running ability. How about his ability to sit in there and become a better passer from the pocket? Of course, Baker Mayfield's putting up some good numbers against the Titans.
Darnold has hit 5 in a row. He's 17 of 25 throwing. Allen 16 of 27, 2 picks. 1 a pick 6. 3rd and 3. Bell in the backfield. Here they come with Murphy out to Bell. Makes a miss. Got the first down. Tripped up, it looked like, by Oliver. It's a gain of 5. That's what he can do, Rich, in the open field. To the 37, they move the James.
Yeah, it's just a little design flare. They turn the end man on the line of scrimmage loose, and Darnold just flips this one out in the flat to Le'Veon Bell and just allows him to make the first defender miss. And in talking to Micah Hyde yesterday, he said that's the hardest thing for defensive players to make those open field tackles. These are running backs that are paid a lot of money to make you miss, and I think Bell is the best in the business at making the first defender miss.
Bell's got 89 all-purpose yards today. 1st and 10. Darnold up and out, and Bell about the line of scrimmage. He was hit. Nice read right there. Good open field tackle by Edmonds. We'll call it a gain of 2 to the 38. When he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers and throughout his career, Bell averaged 129 yards from scrimmage, which has been the league's best average since the merger in 1970. Today he's, like we said, about, well, now at 91 combined. 2nd down and 8. I think he hasn't played for over 600 days. All of last year. Trying to cut, and Murphy kind of shut him down, losing a yard back to the 38. Former Redskin Trent Murphy. He wasn't healthy to begin last season. He's healthier to begin this one.
Yeah, they've been on the field a lot too, and that's part of the problem. You look at time of possession, and their offense has turned their ball over so many times that they've just been out there in some very difficult spots.
Darnold looking into the nickel on 3rd down passing. 7 of 9, 6 first downs. So he's been effective in that category. They need their own 47. Darnold, and that was somehow caught by Anderson with the big collision by Wallace, but short of the first down. They pick up 5. They go to the 43, and the punting unit will take the field for the Jets.
Well, Levi Wallace really plays this well. He runs the route for him. He tries to intercept it. He actually knocks away Robbie Anderson, but good coverage there by Wallace. See him drive on the football. He's trying to get his hands in there and make that pick.
End of the 3rd quarter here in the Meadowlands. Jets have scored on offense and defense. We're starting the 4th quarter. The Jets are going to punt. They've had 2 defensive scores, a pick 6 and a safety. A touchdown pass, Darnold to Bell. That was 9 yards. Bell's had a terrific day. Mosley defensively has had a terrific day for the Jets. Micah Hyde is going to watch this go end over end into his hands at about the 15-yard line, and fair caught there, a 40-yarder. Mosley has been terrific. Pass receiving has not been something that he has allowed. He's been terrific defending the pass and the run.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FanDuel. This season, there's more ways to win on FanDuel. And by Corona Extra. Find your beach.
Welcome back to New York here at the MetLife Stadium. And C.J. Mosley has now been listed as doubtful to return in this game with a groin injury.
All right, a 1st and 10 handoff here, and Gore trying to dig his way out of the 15. He does, puts that shoulder down, maybe a gain of 7 out to the 22. Wrapping up Mosley, I talked about his pass defense. He was involved in 2 breakups in pass defense. He recovered a fumble, had a pick 6, 5 tackles. He was terrific for the Jets this afternoon.
You're probably looking at your AFC Defensive Player of the Week, and he's not even in the middle of play in the 4th quarter with that groin injury that he injured in the previous series.
2nd down 3. Nice run here. This is Singletary into the secondary and pushed out by May. He's got a burst. You can see why they drafted him so high. 23-yard romp to the 45.
It's a good-looking run by Devin Singletary. You just see the burst once he gets that block. Nice cut. The thing that Frank Gore told us about him last night is he's got great vision and patience as well. You just see that cut there, and now you feel the straight line speed from the rookie running back.
Blake Cashman, by the way, is coming as a backer, a rookie out of Minnesota for the Jets. 1st down and 10. With the quarterback Allen, 16 of 27. To the air he goes. Beautiful catch across the way by Brown. That was right in front of Tremaine Johnson. That's a 1st down. 14-yard strike to the 41 of New York.
Just watch this cushion. Tremaine Johnson doesn't trust his speed with John Brown. And look at that cushion. I mean, Kevin, you've got a 5-yard cushion on the boundary. As we talked about in the 1st quarter, here's a guy that didn't play well a season ago. He's been struggling with a hamstring injury. He only played 3 snaps in the preseason, and they'd be crazy not to keep going after Tremaine Johnson. You've got Zay Jones, you've got John Brown, guys that have very good speed on the perimeter.
1st down and 10 for Allen. There's back over there by the left tackle. That was Dawkins, and here is Sweeney, the tight end, who is pushed out of bounds. Held there by Roberts. Gain of 6. They put him at about the 35 of the Jets. So Cashman and Neville Hewitt are the 2 inside backers for defensive coordinator Greg Williams, former Bills head coach. 2nd down and 4.
Remember, when you lose Mosley, you lose the communication control room for this Jets defense. He makes all the calls and the adjustments.
Good point. 2nd down and 4. Singletary busting outside. Another 1st down run. Adams tries to strip him of the ball. Cashman will bring him down. That's a 1st down run near the 23 of the Jets and a gain of 12.
I don't think it's any coincidence that they're starting to rip off some big runs against this Jets defense without C.J. Mosley in the lineup.
Singletary has had plays of 20, 23, and 12 on this drive. Now, for one of the first times, they bring in Robert Foster as a receiver. Singletary remains. Jets have 4 in the secondary. 1st and 10. Singletary underneath to the 18. Cashman there. Gain of 5 on the play. 2 about the 18. Singletary's doing it all.
They really liked him. I mean, there's a reason why they moved on from Shady McCoy, who still has, I think, some tread left on those tires. But, you know, Kevin, he's a similar type back, explosive out of the backfield, a guy that I think is very versatile, can really help him in the passing game as well.
Singletary last year in college only had 6 receptions. He's got a couple today. That was a nice catch. 2nd down and 5. Singletary again. Ooh. Big block. Morris gave it. He's inside the 5. Near the 3. Good looking run by the rookie out of Florida Atlantic. Devin Singletary rips off a 15-yarder right there. It's a 1st and goal.
A little stretch play, and you watch the patience in the hole. Now, I think if he would have taken it to the sideline, he would have scored here. For some reason, he cuts back a little bit too soon, and he makes that pretty easy for the safety Marcus May. If he would have maybe continued to head toward the boundary, he would have had a better angle on the safety May.
Singletary 4 rushes for 70 yards. 1st and goal. Allen He had 8 rushing touchdowns last year, and he sneaks inside the pylon. 3-yard touchdown run by Josh Allen, and it's a new game in the Meadowlands. Boy, they just knifed right through that Jet D.
Well, I love the option of getting Allen out on the boundary where he's got a two-way go. We talked a lot about his rushing ability. 8 touchdowns a season ago, including 631 yards on the ground. You know, he only started in 11 games, but still was the 31st leading rusher among all NFL players at the quarterback position.
What a drive. Gore for 7, Singletary ran for 23, Brown caught 1 for 14, Singletary for 12, Singletary with a 15-yard run, 85-yard drive, Hauschka with the extra point. And it's a 6-point game, and how big now are the missed field goal and the missed extra point by the Jets? This time, it's Allen who takes it in.
The Bills just keep hanging around, Kevin.
Number 7 overall pick out of Wyoming last year, the quarterback in his 2nd season for the Bills, their future, just led a pretty effective drive against the Jets and got his Bills back in the game.
He's rallying the troops. He's over there congratulating his teammates, the offensive line. He's trying to keep those guys fired up, telling them that, hey, we're still in this thing despite some of the mistakes we've made earlier in the game.
He's fumbled a couple times. He's thrown a pick 6. Threw another interception. First half was a disaster. Of the second half, they've gotten a 43-yard field goal from Hauschka and a 3-yard touchdown run by the quarterback himself. And that has vaulted the Buffalo Bills, who were scoreless in the first half, into this one. Over the head of Cannon to the 25 on a touchback, and that's where Sam Darnold will begin things for New York in a pretty important drive coming up. And coming up on the State Farm postgame show, join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for scores and news and highlights. Some of the numbers being put up around the league in offense today. Wow. Coming up on the State Farm postgame show. Glad our game caught up to it. Because
How about Mahomes?
Oh, I know.
375 yards and 3 touchdowns already on the road against a pretty good Jacksonville defense.
Bell has had a big day. 15 carries and 58 on the ground. 6 receptions and 32 with a touchdown through the air. Darnold has hit 8 in a row. Montgomery is back there with him. 1st and 10. He wanted to go to Montgomery, then the pocket crumbles, and he does go to Montgomery, who's out there jousting with the linebacker Edmonds, and out of bounds he goes. So he picks up about 2 to the 27-yard line.
Important there for Darnold to step up, slide, and get rid of the football and avoid a sack on 1st and 10. The negative plays you just can't have. I mean, this is an important possession, Kevin. You look at Buffalo has gotten back some of the momentum in this game. This is an important possession to answer a score with a score.
And Mosley's out the rest of the game, they tell us. 2nd down and 8. They're bringing everybody outside. He goes. Crowder waylaid at the 30. Hit there nicely by Neal. Gain of 3. Brings up 3rd and 5.
Big 3rd down for the Jets. 6 of 13 today on 3rd down. If you look at Adam Gase in that call sheet, he's got a special package for 3rd and 2 to 4, 3rd and 5 to 7, 3rd and 8 to 12, and 3rd and 13 plus. Very segmented in terms of what he's anticipating from this Bills defense.
This is where the quarterbacks make their money, isn't it, Rich?
This is where the game speeds up, Kevin. This is the hardest down in football, especially for young quarterbacks.
Watch 82. He has 3 3rd down catches. Crowder does today. 3rd and 5. And it goes to Crowder. And he's got the 1st down. Pretty play. Hit by Alexander. Covered by Wallace. A gain of 6 on 3rd and 5. And the Jets will move the chains.
And what did Sam Darnold tell us? 3rd down will be critical. He said, we're not going to win the game on 3rd down, but we certainly don't want to lose it on 3rd down. And this is where the Buffalo defense is especially good in 3rd and 6 plus situations. Good job getting the ball out quickly into the hands of the playmaker, Jamison Crowder, who's been very good on 3rd down.
He has. Boy, these free agents have made their den, haven't they? Bell and Mosley and Crowder. 1st and 10. Fake to Bell, and that is batted and almost reeled in. Let's see who's in there. Was that Milano who jumped in front of that pass? It looked like it was Matt Milano.
Yeah, Milano's on the second level. You're going to see him just on the left side of your screen. He just is able to jump up and deflect that ball.
And then caught.
Good reaction there by the tight end, Ryan Griffin. Or that thing may have been intercepted.
Remember, Milano was hurt against the Jets last year, broke his leg against New York. Here's a second down and 13. Safeties are very deep for the Bills. Now they come up. There's Poyer coming in, creeping up. One right here by Bell out near the 34, gaining 1. The third down coming up for New York. And that clock continues to tick.
Good look at Sean McDermott. And as you'd expect with a head coach like McDermott, this defense is very disciplined and structured, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're very sound fundamentally. They communicate well, and they all fly to the football. It's a unit that thrives on effort and finishing. That's what he demands from this defense.
Bills have scored 10 unanswered. Third down and 12. And they need the 46. Crowder with blockers. And he gets it. Winters out there trying to push him. Shy of the first down, though. They only get to the 44. Catch and run at 10. Punting unit will take the field, and their punters had a good day. Lachlan Edwards and the defense of McDermott does their job. Edwards has had 6 punts today, Rich, and 5 have been down inside the 20.
He deserves a game ball, Kevin. He's done a really nice job dramatically changing field position. We always talk about the importance of special teams, especially early in the season when you have so many new young players playing teams for the first time. A lot of these guys didn't do it in college.
Basically winless inside the stadium. Edwards will punt. Beat out Matt Darr in preseason for the Jets. Hyde under it. Already a signal for the fair catch. At about the 20-yard line. Hang time of just under 5 seconds. That was a 36-yarder. So Josh Allen with a little bit of momentum. 19 of 30. He's thrown a couple of picks, including a pick 6. Has got his team to within 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by McCafe Premium Roast Coffee. Good is brewing.
Singletary back there. Jets just punted. Buffalo scored 10 unanswered. First and 10. There's Singletary out of the backfield. Cashman, another rookie. He can't make the stop. Then he's shoved out of bounds by Jermaine Johnson.
Well, he's got some subtle moves, doesn't he?
You're right. Quick twitch, huh, Rich?
You just watch him stop and start like on a dime. I just keep feeding him the football, Kevin. We talked about getting the ball into the hands of number 26 for the Jets, Le'Veon Bell. How about Singletary? As you mentioned, 4 carries for 70 yards.
Brandon Beane said in scouting him, the GM for the Bills, the most fun player he scouted all of last year in college football.
And he's a sponge.
Yeah.
As Amanda said, he's just been following Frank Gore around the facility, trying to listen and learn to everything he says.
Second down and 2. Allen fleeing. Here comes Hewitt, and he throws it away. Hewitt's had a pretty good game today. He's had an interception. He's disruptive as Mosley had been at times. Third down and 2 coming up.
And this is where Allen's gotten better, throwing the football away. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Not only that, but avoiding the unnecessary hits. He took some violent hits a season ago on the boundary. And I always say your best ability at that position is your availability. The Jets need Josh Allen to play all 16 games.
Singletary wide. 5 in the Jets secondary. Third down and 2.
Quarterback sweep.
He'll take it himself. Morris is right there. And they've also got Dawkins leading the way, steamrolling. And he advances the ball beyond the Buffalo 35. Gain of 8 in the first down.
Now you just watch. They're going to pull the center and the left tackle, and it's just a quarterback sweep. And not a lot of teams will run this play, but when you've got a quarterback like Josh Allen, who rushed for 631 yards last year and 8 touchdowns, why not?
Top rushing quarterback in the NFL.
I still believe the Bills are only going to go as far as Josh Allen's right arm can take them, and not necessarily his feet. We know he can hurt a defense by running with the football. What we need to find out is, can he break down a defense by throwing it accurately and consistently from the pocket.
Singletary was back there, 1st and 10. Allen with the pocket crumbling, and he's got Beasley, who bobbles it away, and they've not thrown to Beasley much in this second half. Brian Poole, the nickel for the Jets, was on the coverage for New York.
Really nice throw by Josh Allen. He just drops this one in a bucket. I mean, he's got a messy pocket. He's just able to float this one in there. This is one that Cole Beasley should make. What happened was he took his eyes off it because he was close to the boundary. He was more worried about that toe tap.
He got some of those pellets in his helmet, too. He was shaking his head like they had come off the turf. No catches in the second half for Beasley. 2nd down and 10.
Comes the blitz.
Dawkins with a block. And got him on a dive. Nice catch made. Zay Jones, 20-yard reception. Jones makes the grab, 2nd of the day.
Just watch Jamal Adams. What happens is he runs into his teammate. He's coming on the blitz. He gets rerouted, and that allows Josh Allen just enough time to take that extra hitch to find Zay Jones on that deep dig route. A little bit of serendipity, a little bit of unexpected good fortune.
Down is Poole. The momentum has clearly shifted in this game. Bills on the move, down by 6 on CBS. The nickel Poole is out, and they brought in Arthur Millette in the secondary. 1 of 5 for the Jets. 1st and 10. Allen goes underneath for Singletary. Good read there for Cashman. And he gets him basically at the line of scrimmage. In fact, he lost about a yard of the play.
Just to keep things in perspective, Kevin, you and I were just talking during the break. If you turn the football over on the road 4 times, and the home team doesn't turn it over, you lose about 99% of the time.
Goodness.
An average turnover in the NFL is worth 4.9 points. And yet, as we've talked about, as poorly as Josh Allen has played, 4 turnovers in the first half, they're in a position here to still have a chance to win the game inside 3.5 minutes.
Poole is back in as the 5th defensive back. 2nd down, 12. They blow that dead in mid-motion. There we have the false start.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Ty and Nsekhe.
You know, the head coach, Sean McDermott, really felt it was important for this offense in particular to play meaningful snaps in the preseason. It's a younger Bills team with a lot of new faces, less continuity on offense. We talked about all the changes, and it's a big reason why he chose to play the starters a little bit more in those first 3 preseason games.
And Nsekhe playing the right tackle. Cody Ford, who started right tackle, out, the rookie. 2nd down, 17. And he's got him. That's Singletary. He will dance out there and try to avoid the tackle. Coming through is Luvu. It is a pickup of 12 on the play and put him at the 38.
No, you're going to see the pressure, and then you've got a quarterback that's got the ability to extend plays and get outside the pocket. We talked about number 33, Jamal Adams. If he's in the front, something's up. He's a timely blitzer. Nice job by Allen getting outside the pocket and making a play down the field.
Boy, if you wear number 26 in this one, you're having an effect. Bell wearing 26 for the Jets. Singletary wears 26 for the Bills. Both have put their fingerprints on this one. 3rd and 4. Big play, Allen, and he's got him at the 5, the end zone. A flag caught by Brown. Roberts was on the side. A 38-yard strike thrown by Josh Allen.
Pass interference. Defense, number 27. That penalty's been declared. Touchdown.
Well, they get in man-to-man coverage, and the corner, Darryl Roberts, is worried about John Brown going deep. And he gives him a little double move, and what Josh Allen does is he underthrows this football, allowing John Brown to come back and make a play on it, and the corner, Darryl Roberts, is never able to get his head back and find the football. In fact, he panics and he grabs a hold of John Brown and draws the PI. Great adjustment there by the receiver.
How's good for the lead. What a comeback. The Bills have scored 17 unanswered. Turned it over 4 times in the first half. We're down 16-0. And they have come back with Singletary and Allen and some terrific receiving to get back and actually take the lead in this game. Allen, 24 of 37 for 254. Talk about character. Talk about resilience. The Bills have shown it on the road this afternoon.
And what did Coach McDermott talk to us last night about, Kevin? As soon as he walked into our production meeting, he talked about mental toughness, especially early in the season, especially on the road, overcoming adversity, not panicking. And that's just what we've seen from this football team, and in particular Josh Allen, who had an awful first half and yet has been able to come back in the second half and make some big plays with both his right arm and his legs. Really a gutsy performance here in the second half from Josh Allen.
3 consecutive scores, 43-yard field goal, 3-yard Allen touchdown run, 38-yard touchdown pass right there to Brown. You just saw the graphic moments ago. The Jets had 4 blown fourth-quarter leads a season ago. This is out of the end zone to the 25, touchback, 1st and 10.
Kevin, let's just talk a little bit of strategy. You know, if you're the Jets, you say, all right, well, look, we're in a tight game now. We had them in a position, but we didn't finish. Okay, now we're down by a point. So I'm thinking to myself, I just got to get myself in field goal range. Not really, when you consider the kicking situation with the Jets. So if you're Adam Gase, if you're the quarterback, Sam Darnold, I'm not thinking field goal. I'm thinking I've got to drive the length of the field and score. I don't trust my kicker.
Vedvik has missed an extra point. They signed him off the street last weekend. He's missed a field goal of 45. And the Jets are paying for it right now. 1st and 10. Bell in the backfield. Darnold underneath. This is Crowder. Big hit right there, laid by Neal. Gain of 5 on the play. And he's to the 30.
It may be time to start doubling 82 Crowder.
Yes.
Because he has been in the critical situation when they need to have it. That's where they've been throwing the football.
He's got a career high 12 receptions today.
His little choice and option routes, he's been very effective.
90 yards. Crowder again. Neal along with White. We're right there. Gain of 4. 3rd and 1 from the 34. Timeouts. Buffalo 3. Jets 2. Third and 1. Darnold. And he's got him, and is it broken up? And no flag. What a play by Levi Wallace.
Boy, Levi Wallace was very fortunate. Yes. He gets turned around a couple times. He just falls into that one. Sam Darnold is able to extend the play and chuck one up, and boy, Wallace was lucky.
2-minute warning in the Meadowlands.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon, the network more people rely on.
Pretty important play here. 4th and 1. With the 2-minute warning, 17 unanswered points by Buffalo. They've taken a lead. Darnold. Bell. Oh, great stop by Phillips. Grabbed him on the waist.
I think a second effort gets it done.
Maybe
here.
It did.
What a great effort by Le'Veon Bell.
Boy, they do give him the first down. Yeah, Bell earned it every inch. My goodness.
Boy, Phillips Jordan Phillips is in the backfield. He's on his back, and somehow Bell's able to slip out and get the first down.
1st and 10. Griffin the block going deep, and he's got Anderson. Coverage by Poyer deep. Incomplete. Flag back
in the backfield
where the quarterback was. Jets scored following only one of the Bills' 4 turnovers.
Illegal use of the hands to the face. Defense, number 55. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Jerry Hughes.
I think he gets the hand up in the face of Ryan Griffin, the tight end. And just watch right here. He's going to get Griffin right in the face mask. Just watch him push back with that right hand. The official's right there to make the call.
Secondary numbers 5, although on that line they've got Neal now. Look at them all bunching up there. The Bills, 1st and 10. With Bell in the backfield, that's knocked down by Murphy. Boy, they loaded up that line, Rich, and it paid off, and Murphy came streaming through.
Boy, we've seen a lot of this really from both teams. I don't understand it. You've got the end men on the line of scrimmage. You just don't block him. And we're talking about Murphy, Kevin, and he's a big guy. You know, and you just don't block him. He's 6'6" tall. He's going to knock the ball down every time. Got to make a call if you're the quarterback to be able to kick the line out there and get his hands down in the throwing lane.
Not much from Bell on this series. 2nd down and 10. And Darnold incomplete.
Another batted ball.
I think Griffin, the tight end, was in his sights.
Lorenzo Alexander.
Wow. He's had a couple big plays defensively today for the Bills.
You just watch him right there in the middle of your screen. He's able to jump up and bat that ball down with his left hand. And seen a number of deflected balls.
So 5 defensive backs for Buffalo. 3rd and 10.
Obviously 4-down territory. Going to have to get all of it here on 3rd down. Just can't have a sack.
Darnold 3rd and 10 to the sideline, and no one home. Nunwall went deep and was about 8 yards away from where that ball landed. There were more Bills around it than Jets. Incomplete.
Obviously got to go for it here on 4th down with the minute 17. You look at Adam Gase, and this is a tough spot to be in. You're not sure if you're going to get pressure, you're going to get some type of coverage. In critical situations, you and I talk about this all the time. You can't think about plays. You have to think about players. Robbie Anderson, maybe take a shot with him down the field. If not, Jamison Crowder right here in the slot.
Darnold's going to use a timeout. Where's that Buffalo? The Bills have taken the timeouts, and now the timeouts at 2 apiece. State Farm post-game show being put together for you over at our CBS studios across the water. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cower with the scores and highlights of today, opening weekend in the NFL. Coming up on the State Farm post-game show. Well, they took over at their 25 with about 3 left. 8th play of the drive coming up. They're only as far as the 40. They need the 50 for the first. They've got 2 timeouts and a minute 17 remaining in the 4th quarter clock.
Well, if you're Sam Darnold, Kevin, you just got to give one of these receivers a chance to make a play on the football. Buffalo's going to play coverage here. You see the 2 deep shell in the secondary.
5 defensive backs, 4th and 10. Oh, that's fluttering, and that is incomplete. And on downs, the Bills will get it. And a flag has been thrown. A flag has been thrown back where Darnold was throwing. And the pocket was crumbling.
Holding. Offense. Number 68. That penalty's declined. Buffalo takes over. First down.
What a way to begin a season. Down 16-0 on the road, where you turned it over 4 times in the first half. Come back, show resiliency, have a 1-point lead, 1:12 to go, and you've got the ball, and the Jets do have 2 timeouts.
Well, bad things happen when you let a team hang around, and they lost 4 games a season ago by blowing 4th quarter leads. And geez, they had opportunities, but losing C.J. Mosley, Kevin, was huge.
It was, wasn't it, Reggie? Changed the defense, it seemed. Gore is in with the 1st and 10. Backpedaling his way and handled by Hewitt, and a gain of a yard to the 39. And the timeout taken by New York.
Not just from a playmaking perspective, but also from a communication perspective, not having Mosley in there. You look at the turn of events in the fourth quarter, the big run they get from Singletary. Obviously the touchdown run from Josh Allen, of course, the touchdown throw from Allen to Brown. 14 fourth quarter points to come back in this one and take a 17-16 lead.
Second down and 9. From the 39-yard line, and again it's Gore. He's hit and brought down on that one by Marcus May with a gain of 2 in the final timeout for Adam Gase in his head coaching debut for the Jets. With a 16-0 lead, he lost Mosley, and it looks like he may lose this game on the opener for the Jets, with expectations, Rich, very high for both these teams coming in. Revamped rosters and a brand new feeling on both sides.
Well, if you look at all 4 units, the Jets offense and defense, the Bills offense and defense, Kevin, I felt like the strongest unit was the Bills defense, and I think we just saw them really play well today. You know, you look at the 16 points the Jets scored, 8 of them came from their defense. So really the Bills defense gave up just the 1 score, and have played really well under some very difficult circumstances.
3rd and 7, Gore. Blocking there by Spain, the left guard, with a 2-yard gain near the Jet 35, and the clock continues to tick, and the Jets are out of timeouts.
And notice who's been in there these last 3 runs to ice the Jets, the veteran Frank Gore.
But Singletary, Rich, as a rookie, has had a marvelous debut.
No, I'm just talking about ball security, Kevin.
Right,
you want a guy that's been in these situations, that's carried the football a lot of times, a 15-year player who knows how to take care of the football when the defense is trying to rip it out.
Good point. The clock is going to go down to about 19 or so, 18 maybe, with a 4th and 5 awaiting.
We talked about those numbers. You look at the turnover differential. 4 turnovers for the Bills, no turnovers for the Jets. You do it on the road, and your chances of winning are less than 1%. And some way, somehow, the Bills are going to get out of here today with the win.
Singletary had 98 scrimmage yards, all in the second half. And like we said, the 26s have done well in this one. Bell had a good day, 60 yards on the ground, 32 yards through the air. He touched it 23 times. Bojorquez will punt. Berrios is back. And to the end zone and to the 20-yard line on the touchback, in 12 seconds with which to work, and no timeouts for Sam Darnold. Darnold today, Rich, 26 of 39, 174 and a touchdown.
He did some good things, Kevin, and no question about that. Now with the situation, no timeouts, you've got to be able to use the boundary. You've got to be able to take a big shot or 2 down the field, try and get the ball around midfield so that you at least have a chance to get another completion out of bounds and maybe try for a field goal. But
so what do you say in the huddle if you're a quarterback with this situation?
Everybody go deep. Yeah. But somebody's got you've got to be able to attack the sideline. You've got to be able to use the boundary a little bit. And some teams will run someone short and someone in deep to try and float one in between the cornerback and the safety. Look how deep the Bills are lined up in the secondary. And this is, I think there's an opportunity.
Bills just used their final timeout. So they get a look, and
talking some strategy right here, and Sean McDermott knows there's no timeouts on the clock. If you even a completion, if you can just tackle them on the playing surface, and good. If it's completed 10 or 12 yards downfield, Kevin, they won't have enough time to even come down and clock it. See how deep look how deep these safeties are for the Bills. Here's where you got to attack, somewhere in the midpoint there.
Here's Darnold on 1st and 10. Outside goes, and Crowder to the 25. Clock at 8. 5-yard gain.
You're not going to win doing that. You got to push it down the field. You got to get to around midfield, and then maybe take a shot at the end zone. But you're only getting a 3-man rush from the Bills right now. You're going to have time to allow these guys to get downfield a little bit.
Second down and 5. In the middle it goes. The lateral. It goes out to Enunwa. He gets a block from Bell, and he's going to throw backwards, and that's going to be knocked away by Murphy. This one's over, and the Bills have come back from 16 to nothing down. 17 points scored unanswered, and they win it. In the final 18 minutes and 48 seconds of the game, they get it done. Wow. Allen, who threw a pick 6 to Mosley, he fumbled a couple of times and threw 2 interceptions in the first half. Did not give up. This resilient Buffalo team comes into New York, and they pull out a stunning come-from-behind 17-16 win over the Jets. And think about the kicker for the Jets, signed off the street a week ago, Vedvik. He missed an extra point on the pick 6 by Mosley, and then he missed a 45-yard field goal in this one.
Maybe looking for work next week, unfortunately. But what a comeback from a very poised Buffalo team led by Josh Allen, who didn't panic when things weren't looking good.
The Buffalo Bills come from behind to beat the Jets 17-16. Next, the State Farm postgame show. For Rich Gannon and Amanda Balionis, Kevin Harlan saying so long from New Jersey.